Call the Westfield Board of Public Works and Safety to order for September 23rd, 2020. Staff, please call the roll to know the presence of quorum.
Randy Graham.
Present.
Mayor Cook.
Present.
Jim Ake.
Present.
We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Next up is consideration of minutes from August 26, 2020. Having had opportunity to review those minutes, are there any additions, corrections, comments?
Do not.
Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
So moved. Move to approve. Andy, seconds.
Motion made by Jim Ake, seconded by Mayor Cook, to approve action item number 1, the minutes of August 26, 2020. Staff, please call the roll.
Mayor Cook.
Yes.
Jim Ake.
Yes.
Randy Graham.
Yes,
Motion carries 3-0.
thank you. Next item, action item number 2, Blaze Construction, City of Westfield, masonry repair and concrete replacement, City Services Center.
Yeah, this is a contract to repair a couple issues with our City Services Center building. One being the entryway concrete was failing, and the guardrail was becoming, or the handrail, it was becoming a little unstable. So we are proposing that all be removed and the concrete replaced and the handrail reinstalled. And the second component is associated with the brick and the flashing that goes around really it's the lower level of the building. There's been some water intrusion because of the way it was constructed. So this proposal also fixes that problem and hopefully will eliminate some of the moisture issues we have down there. Total cost of the project is $91,220. There's an additional 20-some thousand in a separate agreement for the handrail itself. But this contract takes care of the concrete work and the brick work. Additionally, this was something that we were likely going to do next year, but considering that the building was closed, we all thought it was a good idea to pull the trigger and get this work done without really impeding the access to the building. So with that, I offer any questions and then request that you all approve this contract for repair.
Any questions, comments?
I just want to clarify that we've had some flooding in the past in that building, as we're all aware of, but this will prevent that from reoccurring or certainly mitigate the largest.
The flooding has happened for a couple different reasons. This doesn't really contribute to the flooding problem.
Okay.
But what it is we've got water leaking down behind the brick, so it's running back into the building and then protruding into the walls, causing obviously some wet issues and potentially some mold issues. We haven't found mold yet, but we need to get this thing taken care of prior to their becoming.
So if we don't get this done and we do end up with a mold issue, then that will be very expensive to get that cleaned up.
Correct, and it's overall for the health and safety of the employees that work down there. They work in these areas all day, every day, so want to make sure it's safe for them.
Jim, anything else?
No, thank you for clarifying. I appreciate that.
Sure. Cook?
No further questions.
No other questions, comments? I'll make a motion, Randall Graham, to approve action item number 2.
I'll second.
Motion made by Randall Graham, seconded by Jim Ake, to approve action item number 2, Blaze Construction, City of Westfield, masonry repair and concrete replacement, City Services Center. Will staff please call the roll?
Mayor Cook.
Yes.
Jim Ake.
Yes.
Randy Graham.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. On to action item number 3. Trash collection, RFP award contract. Thank you.
All right, so we put out a bid earlier for the next 5 years for the trash and recycling. We put the bid out. We also communicated with Raise, Republic, and Waste Management by email, just to make sure that they were all aware that we were having this bid out there. We received 2 bids, one from Raise, which is represented here today, and then one with Republic. So you can see on the screen and or on the spreadsheet, a side-by-side comparison between Raise and Republic.
Okay, so if I'm reading correctly here, I'm looking down. So I'm trying to figure out what the monthly trash bill is for residential. So the one-time delivery charge, that's gone.
So basically, up on the very top of the page or on the screen, where it says 2021 raise $12.30, that's
Right.
the monthly rate.
Right.
And we bill quarterly compared to the Republic monthly rate of $16.36. So
So-
then you can see that over the next 5 years.
Uh-huh. So what I'm trying to see is, when you add it up, how much is that?
Annually,
No,
Or-
monthly.
$12.30.
Plus the $10 for the trash container.
No,
up-
those are just additional items that can be offered to the residents. So the monthly fee for residents is the $12.30 for the next 2 years with a raise, and then $16.36 for Republic.
Gotcha, so the city of Westfield bills quarterly then?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to, because I know currently what it is, I'm just trying to see where it was going, so that's
Yes,
fine.
it's 4 cents more next year than it is currently per month.
Okay.
So does this the 10 leaf bags and/or brush bundles in November, that is a part of the base bid?
No, that is a program that residents can call Raise directly to enroll in their program, and that'll
And
be
what is the cost? Because there's no cost.
$30 for, currently, it's proposed at $30 for the 4-week
Okay.
period.
10 leaf bags total in the in a month of November, is that what that means? Or 10 a week?
A week,
10 a week.
10 a week.
For how much?
It'll be $30 currently what is proposed for the program.
And how about the Christmas tree pickup?
That's included.
That is
With-
included.
That is
Okay.
included in both Raise and Republic's proposal.
And that's something that if you want to participate, that you call
You call Raise directly.
Raise directly.
Last year, we had less than 140 residents call to enroll in the program.
You had how many?
Less than 140, so I think it was roughly 138 households.
That took advantage of that service, that's it?
Yes.
Okay. That's not very many, but that's going to increase as our trees mature.
Right. And the difference too, between Raise and Republic, Raise provides a lot of our dumpsters and trash and recycling containers at our city service buildings. That's included. With Republic, there were a monthly fee.
Well, I think it's very clear that the raised bid is superior, but we do need to discuss some of the issues that we've had and I know I appreciate you all showing up to discuss. It seems like we've had a rash of this, at least that I've heard about in the last 30, 60 days. Maybe it goes on a lot more often. Kristen, I don't know.
Yeah, these hydraulic spills we've tracked since 2017, and it does seem, based on what we have received this year, it is increased. I'm not saying that it's increased much more than what it was last year, but it has been a few neighborhoods that have been hit pretty hard.
Okay. So Donnie, Calvin, would you please respond? Because as you well are aware, I have to respond to our people. You know, you recall when we began this service, what was it, 10 years ago?
A little over that, I think a little over that.
Everybody loved it. They thought it was fantastic. And of course, now the honeymoon is far from over. It's expected that it operates. And I mean, as far as service-wise, Kristen, I think it's, service-wise, I haven't heard of any complaints. I'm sure you get some. But, I mean, as far as I know, the level of service is excellent. So the only question I have is this hydraulic spill.
Well, obviously, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I mean, whether, I know it's a decision you have to make today, but a commitment from my part, and I mean, Andy and I met 10+ years ago now, and Jim was there as well. And again, I've always appreciated the small town effect that I always got treated as. And I told you then that I could give you the level of service that you wanted. And it was a learning curve for us as well, I'll be quite honest with you. 11 years ago, I didn't have the automated trucks like what I have today throughout our company. And there again, looking back at it a little bit, the learning part of it has been the automateds take a lot more care than what a rear load garbage truck does or a commercial front loader. So in the last 3 months, I think every time I turn around, and I got Josh Tinkin with me here today, and thing with Josh, he basically runs our Westfield contract. And he's been up here a lot to try to improve on some of the spills as well as observe equipment. And I'm not going to ever take the blame away. It's still ultimately Donnie Matthews and Nevada Matthews' responsibility as Ray's Resurfacing. We have tried all kinds of different samples to basically try to clean up these products where we've had it. We did come in, did more training with the drivers to make sure that they have an understanding as well as a responsibility. I mean, when you drive a garbage truck, it's just not imagine grabbing this can and leaving something behind, whether it's a piece of paper flies out the top or of a hydraulic leak. And so, you know, we have put a lot more intensity in our training as well, but at the same time, I haven't seen great results from it. And I'm here today to tell you that every day they're in contact with me, every day, whether me or Nevada and whatnot, that we're watching different things, that they have to go through an inspection protocol every day now to improve our system. But we finally found a material that will actually clean. And we have tried different things over the years, whether it's cement, and I mean, we put cement down on the ground, and a lot of times it'll pull the oil out of it. We've used oil dries, we've used dirt, we've used about every different component that we could ever try to use, at the same time trying to keep your neighborhoods clean. And I mean, it's not our goal to leave anything a mess. I mean, we take great pride in our service, and why end up giving yourself a black eye when you don't do the other part of it? So we made a commitment, and I'd like to make a commitment to you today that January 1, there'll be a row of brand new trucks coming in, if they're not here sooner. We have the Heil Company here today, local dealer here in Indianapolis, Central Indiana Trucks Equipment. They run the Heil program, and if you have time, just go on to Heil Company and look at SST, and that's their new garbage truck, and it's pretty high tech. You have a camera here in front of you, no different than the screen here. The driver watches that. When he pulls up beside the can, it reaches out and targets that can and reaches out and grabs the can by pressing a button, and it goes up and dumps. All the cylinders are all electronically controlled, so it's not, I can go over in a manual, but everything's just press a button, and while he's watching the screen, he's watching the traffic in front of him. And it's a great safety feature. If you've ever watched any of our guys go down the street, they're constantly looking in the mirror, turned away from main line of traffic. This way, he can see everything in front of him. It will literally have cameras all the way around, 360 all the way around the whole truck. Whether he's got something that is spilling at some point in time, he's got to see it. And there again, I mean, it has alarm system on the hydraulic system on low hydraulic levels, which, you know, all of a sudden this alarm goes off. That's telling you, you know, I picked up 10 stops. Instead of going and picking up 100 stops, it tells me at 10 stops I'm mowing hydraulic fluid. Great safety feature. I don't know why we didn't have it years ago. But they're just different things that it has that really upgrades us, and the technology that they have today is so much better than anything else. We even went to the extent of talking to the Heil company about all the hydraulic fluids and everything to that effect, and you know, what temperature, what grades, and what grades we should be using, besides the fact of looking at it on the new truck, it has a hydraulic cooler on there that keeps our fluids at a much lower temperature. I mean, Jerry's sitting here and he knows what it means in a sense of if system gets hot, you're gonna lose an O-ring or possibly a hydraulic line at some point in time. So it's got a lot more safety features, but it's still a garbage truck at the end of the day. I mean, I have to take better responsibility making sure the care and custody of that truck being able to provide you the level of service the city of Westfield desires. Basically I got Nevada here today, my son, and hopefully in 5 years from now, he's standing up here and I'm sitting in the back of the room and, you know, cheering him on that, hey, you did a good job. We have the staff of people that we have on staff. I have one girl that is dedicated to Westfield. Marie? Yeah. Yes. And Marie knows, she knows something, you know, she knows everything about the town. We have, you know, there again, when we're getting the information and trying to get missed stops picked up as well as everything else. And that was the reason why we've always kept you on a 5-day work week. If something gets missed, we're back here on Saturday morning getting something picked up, something to that effect. We understand, you know, the heavy pickup. Several years ago, we switched from the open top roll-off boxes to the garbage trucks, and that really gave more of a personal effect when somebody pulls in there and we're helping them load their trash in the back of the garbage truck. It helped him and his crew on the cleanup. And there again, we addressed it as, you know, what is the best way and the most efficient way to handle this? And we'll have 5 to 6 garbage trucks there for the town picked up. So what you get with somebody that's invested the time, that knows your people, knows the contract, we're asking today, hopefully we get the vote, that you look at us and say, they did a pretty good job, and I can work on the small details of the cleanups. And I'll even come back and tell you today, if you got a spot that hasn't been cleaned up, Josh is here with me today, he knows, you give me the list, or you get a list of something, the new product we're using will be there cleaning it up. And I'll send them over there and get them cleaned up. I realize your phone's ringing, and that's the reason why I'm here. And you know, not that Nevada couldn't handle this coming to this meeting today, but still ultimately is my name on the dotted line when I signed that contract 10 years ago, and you've renewed it 2 times now, and I appreciate that. But my commitment to you, we're gonna do better. And you know, Jerry and John and I talked today, we met out on site, and it was kind of interesting. I'd like to promote our recycling a little bit more, and Calvin Davidson, he's here with me today, and Calvin understands all the recycling, and I think there's different ways that you have a unique program. Of all the different cities that I operate in, you're the only one that gets picked up 52 weeks a year on the recycling. You're not an every other week stop. So and it was interesting when I was looking at the tonnages numbers that you did in a contract. You do more percentage of recycling than any other municipality I got. And you know, I mean, I have a lot of municipalities, and some of you had years ago where we just had the 18-gallon tub. Well, today's, you know, with everybody getting mail and everything else through the mail with Amazon and the big boxes and everything else. A lot of that has changed. And providing, I know, you know, Carmel as well as Noblesville, they went every other week. You get a lot more for your buck with having it done each week. And the participation of your recycling and what you committed to 10, 11 years ago is working. And we encourage anybody, whether you're here in the community that wants to come and see what our plants do. I mean, it's right there on basically Raymond Street, just to the east of the old airport, right there, you know. And so we process a lot of material through there, and I can promise you, I mean, there's different opportunities all the time when we look at recycling and what we try to do with it, and coming back and educating your people here. There's a lot more they can recycle than what, you know, the bottles and cans. I mean, just like newspaper. Our newspaper is, everybody's on a computer nowadays. I mean, we don't see that much newspaper compared to what we did 10 years ago out of the town. But your corrugated is up immensely. You know, your bottles and cans is up. It's interesting, looking at the contract 10 years ago, and this is, you did a great job. 10 years ago, I bid on 9,000 homes, and today I bid on 15,000 homes. And so trying to improve yourself in a community and make your community grow, you got a lot to be proud about. You know, I mean, you've made some great significant strides, and I've got a big map that showed years ago all the projection when you had a guy that had a lot of looking at the future, what he wanted to see the town look like. I think you made some great strides, and I kind of laugh about it. I'll give it back to him now and say, do you remember this map? But we won't go there. It's still in my office. It stands about 6 feet tall, and I thought when I walked out of the office, I thought, what am I going to do with this? But this is what we got for you today, and we'll do our best to improve in some of the spills, and same time, the level of service with the quality of trucks that we're bringing in. We're bringing up 2 more trucks up to switch out some of the fleet now. We're analyzing which ones are coming back to our place, and I'm bringing up some of my newer trucks out of my existing fleet that are coming up. So we're going to make some changes that way, and you know, the future right now, I'll be honest with you, in 10 years from now, the future garbage truck will be electronic. It'll be all electrical. And there again, I mean, it's being studied all over the United States right now, and there's a changing curve in that way. And you know, we'd studied the CNG, and we've got a couple CNG trucks, and they're nice, but at the same time, they're a bigger maintenance nightmare than just a diesel-operated garbage truck. So that's Jim. Andy?
No, I appreciate you coming out today, and as I think everybody here knows, I've personally had some issues with spills, and actually talked to Josh yesterday when they were on site on the cleanup, and got to see firsthand the new cleaner in action. He sent me the SDS that I requested. I was reviewing that there when you first started to talk. I hadn't been back to my office, but looks like an interesting product. Did a good job. As I had said, you know, the concern I was having with it was the frequency that it had occurred, and then that it wasn't being taken care of without it being prompted to be taken care of. So when the truck breaks down, it's there for over an hour, you know, draining hydraulic fluid. They get the truck going, it drives away, and the mess is still there until I emailed Jeremy, right? So that's, the response to that is the thing I think is a real opportunity for improvement for you. You were talking about training your drivers. I think about giving them some, I don't know what level of hazmat training that they have, or if they have any supplies with them on the truck, but maybe to mitigate that situation, you know, before it sits there for days. But certainly the crew came out, did a good job on the cleanup. I think you're on to a good chemical there. I might actually look into getting some of that myself.
We've actually, in the last 4 months, we put in a brand new radio system that has a GPS on all the trucks. And actually the AM trucks, when call them, or automate AM, automate. They basically are blue dot on our thing, so we can see one that is sitting at any appropriate time.
Okay,
I mean, it's a great system because you can talk to them direct. It's a satellite radio / GPS system, and it's on every one of them. And and what we use it for, if she calls and says, hey, you got a street missed, I can immediately go back to the GPS and see if they went down the street or why they missed one half of it and not the other. So it has, obviously technology is a beautiful thing.
right.
And so we're currently adding different things like that as well. The product that we're looking at right now and we're using, we had some other products that we've used in the past, but it would always environmentally bring the product up, but it would never take the stain away.
Right.
And this is the only one that I've ever looked at that would actually pull a stain. So,
Did a pretty good job.
yeah.
I couldn't tell yesterday, but then when it dried out and you could see, I mean, you could tell where it was, but it's probably a better cleanup than I've seen in the past. So I think you're on something there. That's an improvement.
So, Donnie, what I would ask, is there a way that your drivers could become more proactive? I mean, when this happens, is a truck shut down, or does it develop a leak and then the guy doesn't know it and goes on? I don't know how it works, but what would seem to be very helpful to us is if you know about the spill before we know about it. So that, is there a way with your radios, your cell phones, the driver says, hey, I got a spill, and somebody's here, or if he continues to move, could he throw some dry, whatever it is, on it, maybe put a cone out, something that says,
Don't track it.
we know it's here and we'll be here right away, neighbors, to fix it. If you could do something like that, I think it'd go a long way.
Well, and there again, a very good point, because the drivers in this day and age, it's education every day. I mean, you might teach them 101 today, and then the next day you're coming back to 101.
Believe me, I know the driver syndrome.
Yeah, and so, the group of guys I've got up here, and Josh he's over that crew, and they've been with me for a while. I mean, I've had a couple new ones slip in the last year that I personally don't know, but several of them on that team have been with the town. I mean, Sam, or is it Jimmy and Sam, Ron Norman, they've been here since the beginning, and educating them and getting them to where they have an understanding, and just like you said, the hazmat part of it, they gotta understand a spill is a spill. And there again, whether it's, we have to look at it, and that we gotta get to it right away. And I think this is where the new trucks is obviously gonna come into the mainstream on this, is the fact that they got cameras all the way around. I mean, you can't come back and lie to me and say you didn't see something. And and I reviewed one just here the other day, and the guy drove off, and it was just like, you wasn't blind. You had to see the leak, and you're only kidding yourself if you're not gonna report it and tell us that. And I'll be honest with you, I fired him. There was no ifs and buts about the way I looked at it, because they had been talked to and already explained to them, said, hey, if you got a problem, you need to explore getting hold of us. And I'm probably as no nonsense as you can be, but I don't like it from the standpoint of being an owner, that you tried to hide something, and then I look back to the people that paying me to do the job, and you're getting your phone rang off at the same time. That's not fair to you. And so our education has to come back to, they have a complete understanding of the equipment and being able to understand no leaks. And so,
What I want to go to, Donnie, is this. When Kristen gets a call, I want her to be able to say, yes, Ray's has already notified us of the problem, and they're on it. That's what I
fair.
want to see.
that's fair. Yeah, that's more than fair.
Yeah, I think we need to work towards that. Not gonna happen instantly, understand that. But within a reasonable amount of time, work towards that, have better communication.
Sure.
I think it would go a long way for the community.
Oh, absolutely. But there again, I come back and say this, we need to be more involved in the community. And when my son's sitting here today, and Andy, I know he's got a family business and everything to that effect, and he's gotta understand responsibility too. And I drug him to this meeting for a reason. So, but, no, you'll have a commitment from us that we'll call you if we got a spill, and immediately, him and I have met as well, and we had the opportunity to meet Nevada today. And Nevada's a lot, he runs operations more than anything else, and he's constantly there, and so, we run 8 dispatchers. We run 8 dispatchers a day in our dispatch, and so there's constantly, even the dispatchers are gonna have an understanding, call you. And when I get done explaining this to them this afternoon or in my meeting tomorrow afternoon, better understanding there. But I want something that we reacts. I don't, there again, I don't care if it's Friday afternoon. If it's Friday afternoon, and I'm from Andy's house, and it happened several years ago, and we did it on a Friday afternoon, I said, of all places, you did it from his
Yes,
house.
you did.
Get out there and get it cleaned up, but there again, you've gotta know about it.
So it's twofold. It's the quality of the cleanup, and I think you're getting that addressed, but it's also where the improvement is the communication of the spill. And if we could have improvement on that, I'd be very happy. Anything else you want to go on?
No, I second what you said, so that's where I'm at. Jim, any discussion?
I think they've responded pretty well over the years. They've been good community partners, and I appreciate the bid today, and I appreciate the efforts you make constantly, day after day, to correct anything that comes up. And I like the idea of the new trucks and modernizing your fleet and keeping up with the changing times. Not all companies do that. Not all trash haulers do that. And we're talking about your company today, but I don't know what goes on with Republic or some of the other carriers in other communities as well. Certainly, the recycling has been very much appreciated here once a week, and it's just made us a better community, a cleaner community, a smarter community, and I appreciate that.
So, Kristen, do I understand, is this a 5-year contract with escalations,
Yes.
like our last one?
Yes, 5 years. So what I would move to approve Ray's being our trash and recycle provider over the next 5 years. And then also giving me the authorization to sign the agreement once that is approved by legal and by Ray's.
We changed that just a bit. When one of you guys moved to approve the bid contingent upon an agreeable.
Speak up a little bit, Brian.
Yeah,
Speak up.
I can't speak up anymore. Yeah, somebody moved to approve or move.
Well, a
to
board member
approve
will. Kristen just stated how she would like it worded.
Contingent upon an agreement acceptable to both parties.
Correct.
Did you guys clearly hear that?
No. Can you repeat what he said?
Yes, he suggested that we make a motion to approve the contract contingent on both parties agreeing to the terms of the contract.
Okay.
Is that correct, Brian?
No, accept the bid contingent upon an acceptable agreement between the parties.
And allow Kristen to sign.
Correct.
Certainly, anybody. Kristen's great, we can find her.
I would so move just that.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion made by Mayor Cook, seconded by Jim Ake, to approve action item number 3. As stated, I won't try to repeat it.
It's in the
We
record.
Will you call the roll, please?
Jim Ake,
Yes.
Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Randy Graham,
Yes,
motion carries 3-0.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
And I will say that, that Josh was very professional and when you handled the situation, explaining things to me and providing the safety data sheet as I requested, I couldn't, given the situation, I couldn't ask for anything else. So thank you very much. I really hope it doesn't happen again, yeah. Thank you. All right, moving forward here. Let's move on to action item number 4, NDOT City of Westfield 151st Street and Town Road Roundabout.
Yes, this is Michael Pierce.
Go ahead, Michael, we cannot hear you.
Must be on your end, because I hear him great.
Try again, Michael. Something's going on with the controller and the volume keeps dropping down. So try again.
Okay, can you hear me now better?
Yes.
Yes.
Do project well, though.
Okay. All right, so this is the NDOT and City of Westfield contract for the construction phase of 151st Street and Town Road Roundabout. This is just the boilerplate contract that we have with all of our federally funded jobs. This one is scheduled to be let in July of 2022 with an estimated construction cost of approximately $1.5 million. So this is just to get the boilerplate contract approved, so when we do move to our construction phase, we're ready to go and we can bid this project.
So the only thing I'll add to that is this is typical of all of our federally funded projects. This one is a little different because it is a rural-funded project, so it's directly with NDOT through rural funding as compared to the majority of our federal projects, which are MPO. Other than that, all the terms are largely the same. So that you're aware geographically, I know you're aware of 151st in town. It is a roundabout at the intersection here. You may recall that there is a Del Webb project. I think it's called Kimblewick now, was Claiborne Farms, just north of there, and under consideration. I don't recall if it's been approved. Actually, Kimblewick goes both north and south of 151st. There is an additional project being proposed, which is a empty nester type community as well that's going to go on this hard corner. So unlike most cases, this is we are going to be pretty well ahead of this, and we're going to actually have the roundabout in place prior to it becoming a disaster, which sometimes with our federal projects they react after the need is warranted as opposed to projecting for the need. So
That's the advantage to having some of our geography not in the MPO.
that is absolutely right. So,
Correct.
Is that a gas line that goes right through it?
It's a pipeline. It's an oil pipeline.
It's a what?
An oil pipeline, much like our other
So
pipelines. that
the
run across.
roundabout's gonna be right on top of it?
More or less, yes. We are going to shift a little, but it'll be underneath.
Maybe they'll sponsor the roundabout.
Very good. I would move to accept this contract. Is that?
I'll second.
A motion made by Mayor Cook, seconded by Jim Ake to approve action item number 4, NDOT City of Westfield 151st Street and Town Road Roundabout. Staff, please call the roll.
Randy Graham,
Yes.
Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Jim Ake,
Yes.
motion carries 3-0.
I can hear her very well now. That's
Yeah,
that's
she
much better.
Turn the volume up. Thank you.
Yeah. On to action item number 5, USI Consultants, Inc. and City of Westfield 161st Street Drainage Improvements Contract.
Okay, I'm going to project, so hopefully everyone can hear me.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so 161st Street, just east of Oak. You all may very well know that there have been some drainage issues in that area. Originally, Pulte had a development, the Hawthorne Section 2 development that was going to be going in the field on the north side of 161st Street. As part of that project, they were going to be making some drainage improvements, including replacing the culvert under 161st Street and doing some dredging of the regulated drain that runs along the south side of 161st Street that was going to eliminate some of the drainage issues we've seen in rainy conditions in this location. However, Pulte has now essentially pulled out of that Section 2 development due to some financial difficulties with some pipelines in the area. And as a result, we weren't going to get the drainage improvements done as part of that project because that project is no more. So rather than going through another spring with some potential flooding issues on 161st Street, we look to be proactive and provide our own drainage improvement project in this area to mitigate the flooding concerns. You may note that there's a roundabout project at 161st and Oak that is on a similar schedule as the Town Road roundabout, but this drainage improvement project is completely separate from that roundabout project. It is something we are going to be doing prior to the roundabout being constructed because we feel like this drainage issue can't wait that long, essentially. So what we're going to be doing, we've retained, or this contract is from USI Consultants. They are the designer on the roundabout, just at 161st and Oak as well. There were some cost savings with some survey work that they had already done in the area and just some local knowledge. So we felt like they were well qualified to do this project, but it is a contract from USI Consultants to provide the drainage design for this drainage improvement. The contract is for $63,690. It includes culvert replacement and ditch work on the north side of 161st Street that will mitigate flooding concerns along 161st Street long term. So we've reviewed this. Michael and I both reviewed the contract. We feel the fee is within reason from what we'd expect to see for the scope of work, and we would ask that you approve this consultant contract to provide drainage design for 161st Street drainage project.
When would you propose construction of?
As soon as possible. As soon as we get this agreement signed, USI is going to get to work on the design. I believe that realistically we could, and I will note there's some coordination that needs to be done with the Hamilton County Surveyor on this job, but I would expect to be able to construct this in the spring of 21 because we do want to get this done as quickly as possible.
Will that be an outside contractor, or would you do it yourself?
It will likely be an outside contractor.
Okay.
Any other discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second, Andy?
Have a motion made by Jim Ake, seconded by Mayor Cook, to approve action item number 5, USI Consultants and City of Westfield 161st Street Drainage Improvements Contract. Staff, please call the roll.
Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Jim Ake,
Yes.
Randy Graham,
Yes,
motion carries 3-0.
thank you. Do we have Chief Rush on the line today? Okay. Sometimes he likes to talk about items on the consent agenda, so I would entertain a motion at this time to approve the consent agenda as written.
So moved.
Motion made by Randall Graham, seconded by Mayor Cook to approve the consent agenda. Will staff please call the roll?
Jim Ake,
Yes.
Randy Graham,
Yes,
Mayor Cook,
Yes.
motion carries 3-0.
thank you. On to department reports. Do we have a Chief Reed or a representative online?
Chief Reed's here. I really have no report today.
Thank you for keeping it brief. Any questions for Chief Reed? Nope. Okay, thank you, sir. Chief Rush or a representative, anything on your police report? Okay. Mr. Lawler, Public Works.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it brief as well. There are a couple things I'd like to highlight. Grand Junction Plaza construction is going really well. We've got most of the foundation concrete work going, so we're working in all 4 quadrants of the park at this point.
Blame the weather, can you?
No, we've had some pretty good weather, certainly for concrete. Probably the most exciting part that has happened since the last meeting was we sent out our RFP for the playground design. We had lots of great responses. So we've got a really unique special design that's very inclusive for all age groups. I will bring that contract to you all very likely at the next meeting, so I'll have some additional images for that presentation. But I think you'll be pretty impressed. It's going to be a pretty special project there. So next would be Westfield Boulevard. That's our extension from State Road 32 south to 169th Street. Going very well. We're hopeful to have asphalt started this week and continuing into next week. So that'll start opening up some activity in that area as we finish that project up. East Street, which is our other big construction project, it is obviously the spine road of North Point. There's a great amount of development going on up there already. So all the contract has been awarded by NDOT, and we are proceeding forward, starting with utility relocation. So you'll see some of that activity.
Orange signs are up.
Orange signs are up. It's a good sign. So you starting with utilities and then heavy pipe and grading work and dirt work over the winter time. But so that project is kicking off and going well. And then last and probably the most exciting thing we've ever done in the city of Westfield is the pickleball courts at Quaker Park are complete and open. So please check those out. Feel free to go out and play on them. And
Can you give us an update on 32 Jersey Street?
I can.
John can.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just had a design coordination meeting last week. I'll be sending out an email to you, Mayor, and some others just to provide an updated schedule. The short story is that we're still on track for the original letting date, and we are moving forward with a preferred alternative design. There's a couple of historical mitigation reviews that still have to be completed, I think, within the next week or two. But the long and short is that we're still on that same letting track as originally proposed, which was the very end of 2022.
Okay, and how about Jersey Street?
So Jersey Street, because we have more direction on 32, we can define an alignment now. Now that we know that this alternative C is not going to be a preferred alternative. So we haven't had a lot of forward progress on Jersey Street up to now, but you'll see a lot more in the next week or next 2 to 3 weeks, defining an alignment and moving forward from there.
Very good. Thank you. And Jeremy, your resurfacing projects are finished this year?
Yes, I believe we finished Crestview either last week or late the week before that.
Looks good.
And that was our final piece of resurfacing. So.
And I would just add on East Street, Vicky's team's working on a groundbreaking ceremony for East Street. She's going to finalize a date, but I believe it's looking like October 5th. But she'll send out an official notification to everyone on that to come out and to the groundbreaking for East Street.
Great.
So the infrastructure is going to go in starting soon through the winter, and then asphalt will lay down next year, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and we are building that in phases, so there'll be a north phase and a south phase in order to keep access. So it'll come in 2 places. What is our completion timeline for that, John?
Substantial completion isn't until November of 21, but there's an intermediate completion date to meet the needs of some of the users in North Point. So there'll be access maintained, and the intermediate completion date, I believe, is July of 21 as originally scheduled. So a substantial portion of that will be complete in July with some remaining aspects to wrap up in the last half of 21.
So
does the south half go in first?
So the contractor, based on their schedule, they're going to do some intersection work, I believe, early at 196th Street to get that done with. But the north 2/3 is what's going to go in first, and then they're going to come back with the south third to wrap it up.
Okay.
So in other words, we'll maintain the southern access that we currently have,
Gotcha.
build the north piece, and then flip it over.
Yep.
And then at the point of completion, it will be signaled at State Road 38 at that point?
Correct, at Anthony Road, yes.
Okay.
And I will add too that our construction inspection team has a biweekly newsletter they're sending out to any stakeholders that want to be included. So they're going to provide updates every 2 weeks with what's going on with the construction, access points, stuff like that, that these users within North Point can subscribe to that newsletter and really have a good idea of what to expect from an access management perspective.
Very good. Anything else?
Good.
Jim? No. Jeremy?
I'm all set.
No further business. Randall Graham make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Have a motion made by Randall Graham, seconded by Mayor Cook to adjourn. Staff, please call the roll.
Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Randy Graham,
Yes,
Jim Ake,
Yes.
motion carries.
thank you.
All right.
Meeting
I was just
adjourned.
getting ready to add to the record, doesn't really matter. Joel just texted me and said he's there the whole time, but
Oh,
nobody can hear him, so. Poor Joel's muted.